It's been a long time coming, and honestly it should have been here sooner. With Marbula One finished, the sport of marble racing now in the mainstream, and Marble League 2020 fast approaching, there's a lot going on in the Marbleverse to talk about in today's episode of the Marble Insider. Hi, this is Professor CC19, Candy Crusher and Algadoo Marble creator, with Episode 5 of the Marble Insider. Last time in Episode 4 we talked about the first half of Marbula One, the correlation between the qualifiers and the main races. We're not going to be getting into that today. We're going to briefly recount the second half of Marbula One, compare my midway predictions to what actually happened, and then get into some of the other events that have been happening or about to happen, as well as my predictions for Marble League 2020, the qualifiers coming June 18th. In the meantime, don't forget to check out my marble racing series, the Mar World Championship, for Algadoo. One video released every week for the qualifiers on Friday and the main race on Saturday. It is the closest thing to an Algadoo version of Marbula One. It is pretty cool. I hope you check it out. Anyway, back to the world of real marbles. This, once again, the poster you've seen in the past two episodes for all 16 teams. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see the tiny print as it is right now. Should get a little bit bigger. There we go, text zoom. So this is showing the 13 out of 16 spots. Race 1 through 8, all the different courses from Marbula One, and the teams where the positions where they finished. The green indicates which team got the fastest lap and bonus points. Team Galactic, the winner of the first race and the fourth race, I predicted them originally to win. However, they did not quite do that. They're the one team that's probably the furthest off on my predictions ranking. The O-Rangers killing it, 3 performances where they got the fastest lap. But let's focus more so on the second half, which is where we left off last time. Race 5 at Greenstone. One of my personal favorite courses. Partially because of the results, with O-Rangers and Thunderbolts being the top 2, Thunderbolts with the fastest lap, 2 of my favorite teams in Marbula One. But also just the ability to follow everything. It was not like some of the other courses with a lot of twists and turns. Well, pardon me there. Greenstone had the most twists and turns, but where the track overlapped per se, it was easy to see what was going on. Pace was slow enough, not to be boring, but slow enough that you could follow it easily, and I thought that was a great thing about Greenstone. Race 6 at the short circuit. That one was absolutely insane. The shortest course, one of the fastest, I would say. The Thunderbolts really shaking off what was becoming the host curse, or what was the host curse, getting second at their own course, coming back. They were up and down in that race. Nobody, though, could knock snowballs off the top position in that race. And Rangers, once again, with the fastest lap, way down in 10th. They had to work hard just to get back up to that position. But it's the lowest anyone finished in the season who still got the fastest lap. Race 7 at the Razway. Honestly, what didn't happen at the Razway? We had track defects that cause the race to be restarted. Everyone gets stuck. We have fans running onto the course. 2 restarts, the only red flags this season. Just everything went wrong at the Razway. And not necessarily for the teams, because Hazers, well done to them. They got their gold medal that they deserve for quite a while, that they've been really working at. So, yes, Hazers, O-Rangers, once again with the fastest lap in second. Team Momo, they got their best performance for a bronze. But for some of the teams that would have gotten higher, perhaps, had the track defect not occurred, like Limers, who got off to a better start, if you're a Limers fan, and I know they are, and they're very vocal, you might be a little upset about that. And then it all came down to Midnight Bay, Race 8. Savage Speeders, O-Rangers, Team Galactic, and the leaders, the Hazers. They were the 4 that could win, and everyone, or most everyone, called that the Hazers would. At least I thought it. But just everything again went wrong, only this case for the teams themselves. Hazers, O'Rangers, and Galactic all not really even showing up at all for the final race. Savage Speeders, the only team of the top four, those who could win, that had any success. And for as hyped an event as it was, I must admit that Midnight Bay was one of my least favorite courses because there was very little actual action. Yeah, it's kind of sad. For the great design of the course with the tunnel and the bridge, Midnight Bay wasn't really that exciting. There was only one lead change the entire time. We had some good action between Team Primary and BOC, Balls of Chaos. But other than that, it wasn't really that stimulating. For 16 laps, it was seeing and waiting if anything would happen when it really didn't that much. Either way, congrats to the Savage Speeders for winning. They deserved it coming through in the last race, even though there was a little bit of controversy about the double qualifying run with the Savage Speeders and O'Rangers. I still think the Savage Speeders deserve that, and I will readily admit that I was completely wrong about them, saying that they would not even make the top half in Marbula One. I was also wrong originally about what Marbula One even was, so I'll leave it at that. My favorite course, I think, probably was Greenstone. I also did like the Motorway, how fast that was, and the amount of competition between the top teams. Least favorite course probably was either Hive Drive or Midnight Bay. Midnight Bay for the lack of excitement, and Hive Drive just for the oddity of it. The Hive was a neat idea, and it did change the results of the race quite a bit. It was just a little hard to follow. Same way at the O Raceway, with the way the track overlapped. The sand portion was awesome. It just was a little too crowded on screen. It was hard to follow, in a sense, so that's why I think Greenstone was the best course. If I go to the bottom, you can see the next slide, you can see the bottom slots. For 14th through 16th, the bottom three, you'll see a few recurring names. Hornets. In the bottom three times in the last four races, which is, oh, pardon me there, 4 times in the last 4 races. That was pretty embarrassing, I would say, and letting a lot of people down who were Hornets fans getting on the bandwagon of the new team. It was just for the second half. They were literally nowhere above 14th. They were in the bottom 3 always. So, not very impressive from them. Limers, they kind of did the same thing. We have 4 appearances for them in the bottom 3 over the course. Their first one, the first race, the other 3 right at the end. Also seeing Team Primary, amusingly, race 2, 4, 5, and 7. All the races with Mary. Last year I thought Mary was the strongest member, and I was fully behind her becoming captain of Team Primary. After this, I'm sorry, but Mary should be kicked back to the back and needs to learn a lot. Prim needs to be made captain again. That was just embarrassing how how big of a contrast could be made between Prim and Mary. It was just insane to see Prim at the top of the standings almost every race they ran. I believe 4th in the individual championship, while Mary was in last. Just the spread between them is unusual, unexpected, but certainly not something Team Primary could be proud of. One thing they could be proud of is getting 7th place overall, which is the highest that they have ever finished in a multi-event other than the showdown. You can see the final standings right here. I can switch to the next slide in a moment so you can see my predictions. In fact, I think I'll do that right now so you'll see. Where's the slide? There it is. My predictions, I had original predictions, I'm ignoring them. My new predictions, halfway through, were Team Galactic as the winners and Hazers, Savage Speeders. That was pretty close. Galactic wasn't on top. Hazers were in second. Savage Speeders were the winners, of course. O'Rangers were up 1 spot. Green Ducks, I believe they were down 1 spot. Primary, down 1 spot. Midnight Wisps were the only ones that I got wrong in the top 8, so my top 8 was accurate except for the Wisps. Snowballs proved me wrong. They got 4th. And towards the bottom, Hornets got last. I didn't think Raspberry Racers would crash and burn as badly as they did. Limers also a bit lower. Rojo Rollers and Momo rose up the standings. I'll scroll back so you can see the final standings. Yes, Savage Speeders with 101. Very impressive to win over the Hazers at 94. O'Rangers 69. Snowball 66. A tie between Galactic and the Green Ducks. Primary and Thunderbolts round out the top half. And that very sad 8 at the bottom for the Hornets. Yeah. We have to expect better from them going into Marble League 2020. And I honestly do, as you'll see in just a moment. Some other things going on in the Marbleverse. Last Marble Standing is currently ongoing. The day this is being filmed is actually the day before it comes out, so I have no clue about how it's working or who's winning. But I will talk about that maybe in the next video, because I don't intend to really get into Cravendale Last Marble Standing, just as I haven't really gotten into Marbula E as much. Although I will say go Mahindra. And for Cravendale Last Marble Standing, go Grays of Glory. That just sounds cool. But yeah, it premieres tomorrow. It's something to look forward to. The third race of Marbula E is on the 6th of June. And the next big thing is Marble League 2020. And the big news after Jelle's Marble Runs passed 1 million subscribers, got the big new deal with HBO's Last Week Tonight with John Oliver for the sponsorship, and everything just took off from there. It was on Trending, the announcement video that saying it starts the 21st, which is honestly sooner than I expected. But either way, a lot to look forward to, something exciting, and it's time to get to the predictions of who will qualify for Marble League 2020. ML 2020 predictions. I'm going to zoom out. Hold on just a second. And here we are ready to talk about the predictions for the qualifiers for Marble League 2020. You can see the graphic to the right. That is the road to Marble League 2020. It shows the auto-qualified teams. As we know, the hosts, Team Galactic, and the top 3 from last year are reigning champions Razzie Racers, Green Ducks, and the Hazers, along with all the teams that are going to be competing, all 20 competing in the qualifiers in a few weeks. I'm going to go through them very quickly, as fast as I possibly can. We have Savage Speeders, O'Rangers, Midnight Wisps, Thunderbolts, Oceanics, Mellow Yellow, Chocolatiers, Pinkies, Indigo Stars, Balls of Chaos, Jungle Jumpers, Crazy Cat's Eyes, Snowballs, Team Momo, Hornets, Team Primary, Minty Maniacs, Rojo Rollers, Jawbreakers, and Bumblebees. That's a lot. We also have the 4 that are relegated to the next year's showdown. Sadly, Cobalt, Shining Swarm, Turtle Sliders, and Limers. They are not going to be competing to qualify for the main games 2020. The other 20 teams are, and I just realized, 20 teams for ML 2020. Either way, I've taken these 20 teams and I have analyzed several aspects, not necessarily just based on their skill or past performances, but also their relationships to each other as teams, some of their performances in Marbula One, the team dynamic of some of these. I know it comes into play big time for Team Primary, as you just saw. But based on that, I've divided them into 5 categories. Ones that I'm very sure will qualify, ones that I am very sure will not qualify, those that I'm somewhat sure will, those that I'm somewhat sure won't, and those that I don't know which way or another about, those that I am very unsure about. So let's move to the next slide and see. There are 5 teams that I am very confident will qualify for ML 2020. They are O'Rangers, Savage Speeders, Mellow Yellow, Thunderbolts, and Crazy Cat's Eyes. I expect to see them in the main games 2020. Number 1, based on past performances for some of these teams, mainly Savage Speeders after just winning M1, and O'Rangers, Mellow Yellow, strong after last year, but also the level of how iconic they are to Marble League. if you had a Marble League without O-Rangers, I don't even think that's possible, or Savage Speeders. They're like the faces of it. There couldn't be a Marble League without these teams. Mellow Yellow, Thunderbolts, two teams that have been around since the beginning and are more iconic to the sport. Somehow, Crazy Cat's Eyes, in the 2 short seasons they've competed with a 10th and an 11th place finish, I believe have gotten to that category. If you have the t-shirt, Crazy Cat's Eyes is literally the embodiment of marbles for the Marble League, for the logo. So that's why I think Crazy Cat's Eyes is now a part of that elite group of all the iconics that you couldn't have a Marble League without. I would be very shocked to see any of those 5 not qualify. Then there are the other side of the coin teams. Those that I'm almost 100% certain. Almost, there's always a chance of a shocking upset. Almost for certain will not qualify. I'll come back to the Chocolatiers because they were the last team I put into this. Indigo Stars. The biggest waste of a spot in last year's Marble League. They got a bronze, which is better than the Oceanics, sadly. But Indigo Stars they just had nothing memorable. They were just there. They made it to the semifinals a fair amount of time for a rookie team. 14th, nothing really in the highlight reel for the Indigo Stars. I would be very shocked to see them make it to the main games this year. They seem more like a novelty team, one of those in the showdown, like similar to Turtle Sliders, one that hasn't really been proven that much yet. Pinkies? Are you kidding me? They have competed all 4 seasons, and 3 of them have been in the bottom 2. 2 of them have been last. If not for the Oceanics, not going to talk about that much more. If not for the Oceanics, Pinkies would have been last again. They managed a gold in the dirt race, something a little unorthodox, and a silver, which was pretty well earned in the Amazing Maze last year. But other than that, Pinkies, if they made it this year, it would just be a travesty again. They were one of the iconics. They are no longer. They're iconic for how poorly they do, and yet somehow they always qualify. With all the teams and the potential we see this year, I'd be very shocked to see Pinkies in the main games. Minty Maniacs. I would give Pinkies a higher chance of qualifying than the Minty Maniacs. So Pinkies a little higher up there. Minty Maniacs slipped in the very last spot somehow, I don't even remember how, in the showdown, surpassing Shining Swarm that got a bronze. Oh, I remember, Minty Maniacs, they got a silver in the funnel race. But yeah, just the level of how underwhelmed I am with Minty Maniacs, with how kind of upset that I am that they even made it to this point over Cobalts or Shining Swarm or one of the other more reliable teams, somewhat. I don't know. Just Minty Maniacs, I'll just say this. There's no way in heck that they're going to qualify for 2020 Marble League. If they do, they won't. If they do, I'll eat my hat, or what other expression in the next video. I'll hook up a webcam or something like that. Yeah, they would be the very bottom of my list to qualify. Now, Chocolatiers, I added them to my list, not necessarily so much of their performance, although their performances haven't been that great, more so with their relationship with other teams. They just slipped into the last spot last year. I think the other teams that did not qualify are a bit more determined this year, and Chocolatiers, they're just kind of, I like chocolate, but the team is, I don't think, worthy of another main games in the Marble League. So now let's move to the less passionate emotions of how confident I am. Somewhat confident that these teams will qualify. 4 teams in this group. Balls of Chaos. I was questioning myself over whether Balls of Chaos would qualify more than I expected this year. They weren't really that great last year until the very end. In contrast, Savage Speeders were great at the beginning, not that great towards the end. I think Balls of Chaos is iconic enough that if they were left out, it would hurt the sport. maybe a little. I don't know. I think Balls of Chaos, they're crazy enough to make it. I think, if nothing else, they'll just do it. Hornets, that might be. I don't know. I'm trying to think about what I had to say about the Hornets. They would have been the shoe-in to qualify. They would have been the new Hazers or the new Green Ducks, if not for Marbula One. In the big leagues with some of the other teams in that style, Hornets, they just floundered, which was a complete contrast to what they did in the showdown. However, since we're back to the more variety of event styles, I think Hornets are going to adjust better again. They're up against some of the same teams from the showdown. I think they're going to make it. Not too much else to say about that. We'll have to see. Rojo Rollers. I think their fans are going to be very pleased with my analysis in that I am quite confident that they're going to make it back after 3 years in a row not qualifying. Then getting a bronze in showdown. I think Rojo Rollers will fit in with the other teams that I'm predicting, and I think they're going to do just enough. I'm not saying they're going to win qualifiers, but I think they're going to qualify and do decently well in the main games as well. And then there's Jawbreakers. Jawbreakers is one of my dream teams. Again, like Hornets, not that much to say about them. They were better than expected in the showdown. I think they're going to ride their wave of momentum into the main games this year, and I'm hoping that they'll do so. Somewhat confident to not qualify. I only have 2 teams in this group because I'm more unsure about these teams than the somewhat confident to qualify, but I put Oceanics there. I don't think Oceanics are going to make it. As iconic as they were, just like Pinkies, they're kind of now iconic for not doing good. They had one strong season, but other than that, if you look in the history of the Oceanics, their other seasons, although not as bad as last year, were subpar when you look at it. So I don't think Oceanics are going to have enough to overcome the stereotype after last year. I think that's going to weigh them down just enough that they're going to miss out. And for Team Primary, it's not so much about the performances in the past. It's more so because of the team dynamic. If you look at, again, Prim and Mary, if they don't have a strong unified team, there's no way they're going to qualify. I don't think Prim can pull them all the way across the finish line in the qualifiers, because they obviously can't run every event. But yeah, Team Primary, they have a better chance than some of the others, but still, I'm pretty sure that they won't miss again. But then there's the very unsure Jungle Jumpers, Momo, Midnight Wisps, Snowballs, and Bumblebees. Now, this group is a combination of me not being sure which one of the 2 will qualify. In the case of Jungle Jumpers and Momo, I think one of them will qualify. I'm just not sure which one. Midnight Wisps, I'm really wondering about them because Hornets and Midnight Wisp are very similar in color. Hornets also very similar to the Chocolatiers, which is another reason why I don't think Chocolatiers will qualify. But I think Midnight Wisps are different enough that while I am unsure, I think they have a shot. They are somewhat iconic, despite not having their own Twitter account, which kind of hurt that a little bit for me, knocked them from somewhat confident back to very unsure after I noticed that the other day. Snowballs. I bet you're wondering why they're there. After such a good year in Marbula One and the Showdown, I think it's because of their performance in Marbula One, because they were so good there and they've been not really good in Marble League. I think maybe the Snowballs should stick to Marbula One. Even after they won the Showdown last year, I think... So yeah, that's why I'm unsure. I think Snowballs, there's just about an equal chance that they'll make it as they won't make it. I honestly don't know about Snowballs. Now, Bumblebees, that's one of the wild card teams for me, similar to Jawbreakers. Bumblebees, I think, will qualify on one condition: that the Hornets qualify also. See, that's the thing. I'm only somewhat confident about that, so I can't be very confident about the Bumblebees. I think if Hornets miss, Bumblebees will miss. There's no way that the Bumblebees are going to outperform the Hornets. But I think if the Hornets make it, then the Bumblebees will join them. There has to be a good rivalry in the Marble League. So just based on that, I think Bumblebees have a somewhat decent shot at making it. Now, even though I have my confident, my somewhat, my very unsure, I do have a pre-prepared 16 teams. This is what I think is going to be the lineup for Marble League 2020. Galactic, of course, we have Raspberry Racers, Green Ducks, and the Hazers, the four already. O-Rangers, Savage Speeders, Thunderbolts, Mellow Yellow, Crazy Cat's Eyes, Balls of Chaos, Rojo Rollers, Jawbreakers, Hornets, and out of that very unsure category, I went with Bumblebees right next to Hornets. Midnight Wisps, I think they're going to do it. And the hardest was probably between Jungle Jumpers and Momo because they're so darn similar. But in the end, I had to go with Momo because even though they haven't really proved, other than in 2016, that they would be the team over Jungle Jumpers to deserve that, I think everyone just needs Momo right now. Just the image of overcoming difficult times. Momo is the embodiment of resilience, and I think it's going to be very meaningful for them, especially if they would qualify, and I think that they have a shot at it. There's something in the stars. The qualifiers start June 18th, and Event 1 comes 3 days later on the 21st. The hype is real. Thanks so much for watching. Comment below with your thoughts about who is going to qualify, who's going to do well in Marble League 2020. Also your thoughts on Cravendale, on Marbula E, whatever you want in the world of marble sports, or if there's another channel you'd like to suggest with marble racing. Either way, this has been Professor CC19 for the Marble Insider. I'll see you soon, and thanks so much for watching.